What if the strongest source of protein isn't meat at all? Not chicken, not beef, not eggs, but something growing quietly, in soil, in water, or even in a small pot in your own home. Because right now, millions of people are still building their entire diet around a belief that was never fully questioned, that protein only comes from animals. But what if that idea is incomplete? What if some of the most protein-dense foods on Earth are plants you've probably walked past, ignored, or even pulled out of the ground? And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these plants don't just match the protein found in beef. They can surpass it in efficiency, in absorption, and in the way they nourish your body as a whole. And the best part? You don't need a farm. You don't need special equipment. You can grow many of them, right where you are. In this video, you're going to discover 10 incredibly powerful vegetables that challenge everything you thought you knew about protein, and trust me, number 7 grows faster than most people think, and number 10 might completely change the way you look at food forever. If you've ever tried to eat healthier, build strength, or simply take better care of your body, chances are you've heard the same advice over and over again: eat more protein. And almost immediately, that advice gets translated into one thing: more meat. But here's what most people never stop to question: what if protein isn't the problem, but the way we think about protein is? Because for centuries, across different cultures and climates, people have built strong, resilient bodies without relying heavily on animal products. Not because they had less access, but because they understood something we've slowly forgotten: that protein isn't just about quantity. It's about quality, absorption, and what comes with it. The plants you're about to see aren't just alternatives. They are complete systems packed with amino acids, minerals, antioxidants, and compounds that work with your body, not against it. And maybe even more powerful than that, many of them can be grown by you, not in some distant farm, but in your backyard, on your balcony, or even inside your home. Which means this isn't just about nutrition. It's about reclaiming a kind of independence that most people don't even realize they've lost. So if you're the kind of person who wants to understand food at a deeper level, not just follow trends, but actually see differently, make sure you're subscribed, because what you're about to discover isn't new. It's just been overlooked. Number 1. The leaf that builds strength quietly. Most people look at kale and see decoration, something that sits on the side of a plate, something optional, replaceable. But what they don't see is density, because kale isn't just a leafy green. It's one of the most nutrient-dense plants you can put into your body. And when you look at protein, not by weight, but by calorie efficiency, kale starts to tell a very different story. Gram for gram, calorie for calorie, it delivers a surprising amount of amino acids, the building blocks your body uses to repair tissue, support muscle function, and maintain cellular strength. And unlike many animal-based sources, kale doesn't come alone. It arrives with vitamin C, which actually helps your body synthesize collagen more efficiently, with antioxidants that reduce inflammation, and with compounds that support detoxification at a cellular level. This is something traditional cultures understood intuitively. Dark leafy greens weren't side dishes. They were foundations. They were eaten daily, not for taste alone, but for resilience. And today, modern research confirms what was always there. When your body receives protein with micronutrients, absorption becomes more efficient, recovery becomes smoother, energy becomes more stable. Now here's the practical part. Kale is incredibly easy to grow. It doesn't require perfect conditions. It adapts, it regenerates. You can plant it in a small container, place it near sunlight, and within weeks, you have a renewable source of nutrition right in front of you. No processing, no packaging, no dependency. And maybe that's the most important shift, because strength isn't always something you build in a gym. Sometimes it's something you grow quietly, leaf by leaf, choice by choice. Number 2. The green that fuels more than muscles. Spinach has a strange reputation. Everyone knows it's healthy, but almost no one takes it seriously. It's often reduced to a cliché. Something soft, something light, something that couldn't possibly compete with real sources of strength. But that perception collapses the moment you look deeper, because spinach doesn't just contain protein. It contains a combination of nutrients that changes how your body uses protein. Rich in nitrates, spinach helps improve blood flow, which means more oxygen and nutrients reach your muscles. More efficiency, better performance, less fatigue. And alongside that, it delivers amino acids, iron, and magnesium, all essential for energy production and muscle function. So instead of forcing your body to work harder, spinach helps your body work smarter. This is why, historically, leafy greens like spinach were not just food, they were strategic. In many traditional diets, they were consumed regularly to sustain energy over long periods, not just to build muscle, but to maintain endurance, clarity, and recovery. And modern science now confirms what those traditions already practiced. Improved circulation, better mitochondrial function, more efficient energy production, all supported by something most people barely pay attention to. Now here's where it becomes real. Spinach is one of the easiest plants you can grow. It grows fast, it doesn't demand much space, and it thrives even in small containers or partial sunlight, which means in a matter of weeks, you can have a continuous source of nutrients that directly supports your energy, your recovery, and your strength. No complexity, no barriers, just consistency. Because in the end, real strength isn't just about how much protein you consume, it's about how well your body can use it. Number 3. The ancient grain that thinks it's a vegetable. Most people think they know quinoa. A trendy grain, something you buy in a package, cook, eat, done. But what almost no one realizes is that the most overlooked part of this plant isn't the seed, it's the leaves. And those leaves carry a quiet secret. Because unlike most plant foods, quinoa offers something rare, a complete protein profile, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own. That alone already puts it in the same conversation as meat. But when you shift your focus from the grain to the leaves, you're looking at a softer, faster growing, and often more accessible source of that same nutritional power. This isn't new knowledge. For centuries, in the Andean regions of South America, quinoa wasn't just a crop, it was survival. Entire civilizations relied on it not just for calories, but for resilience, strength, endurance in harsh environments. And they didn't waste any part of it. Leaves were consumed regularly, fresh, cooked, integrated into daily meals, long before modern nutrition started labeling things as complete proteins. Now, science simply explains what tradition already proved. Quinoa contains a balanced amino acid profile, making it highly efficient for muscle repair, metabolic function, and overall cellular maintenance. But more importantly, when consumed as a whole plant, not just an isolated product, it brings fiber, minerals, and phytochemicals that support absorption and long-term health. Now let's bring this into your reality. Quinoa is surprisingly adaptable. You can grow it at home, in soil, in containers, even in small spaces, and within a relatively short time, you begin harvesting not just seeds, but leaves. Tender, nutrient-rich, and incredibly versatile. You can saute them, add them to salads, blend them into meals without even noticing the transition, and slowly, something shifts. Because what once looked like a simple grain reveals itself as something much more complete, not just food, but a system. And sometimes the most powerful things aren't the ones we discover. They're the ones we finally learn how to see. Number 4. The survival leaf from ancient civilizations. If quinoa was a system, amaranth is a legacy. Because long before modern nutrition existed, before protein, charts, supplements, and labels, there were civilizations that understood strength in a very different way. And amaranth was at the center of that understanding. Used for thousands of years by cultures like the Aztecs, this plant wasn't just food. It was sacred. It was strategic. It was survival. But here's what most people still don't realize. While today, amaranth is often known for its seeds, its leaves are just as powerful and often even more accessible. These leaves are packed with protein, rich in essential amino acids, and loaded with minerals like calcium, magnesium, and iron. But what makes amaranth different is how balanced it is. It doesn't just support muscle, it supports the entire system, your bones, your blood, your recovery, your energy. And because of that, it was never consumed in isolation. It was part of a rhythm, a way of eating that sustained people through physical labor, long days, and unpredictable conditions. Now, fast forward to today. Modern studies highlight what ancient cultures already practiced intuitively. Amaranth provides high-quality plant protein with excellent digestibility, along with compounds that help reduce inflammation and support metabolic health. But maybe the most surprising part is this. Amaranth grows almost effortlessly. It adapts to different climates. It grows fast, and once it starts, it keeps giving. You can plant it in your backyard, in a simple garden bed, or even in containers. And within weeks, you'll have leaves ready to harvest. No complexity, no dependency, just something growing, quietly, consistently, giving back more than it takes. And that's the deeper lesson here, because what survives across centuries, what feeds entire civilizations, is rarely weak. It's simply been forgotten. Number 5. The plant that grows without permission. Most people have seen this plant, but almost no one has looked at it. It grows low to the ground, spreads quietly, appears where it wasn't invited, and because of that, it's usually removed, pulled out, discarded, ignored. But what if that weed was never the problem? What if it was the solution people didn't recognize? Purslane is one of the most underrated edible plants on the planet, and nutritionally, it completely breaks expectations. Because beyond its surprising protein content, it contains something extremely rare in the plant world. Omega-3 fatty acids, the same type of healthy fats people go to fish for, are already present in this small, resilient plant. But it doesn't stop there. Purslane is rich in antioxidants, vitamins A, C, and E, and compounds that support cellular repair, reduce inflammation, and protect the body against oxidative stress. Which means it doesn't just help build strength, it helps preserve it. And historically, this wasn't hidden knowledge. In ancient Greece, purslane was already recognized for its medicinal properties. It was consumed not only as food, but as a functional plant, something that nourished and healed at the same time. But somewhere along the way, it lost its reputation and became just another weed. Now, here's where everything shifts. Because purslane doesn't need perfect soil. It doesn't need constant care. It doesn't need permission. It grows in sidewalks, in cracks, in places where most plants wouldn't survive, which means you don't need to chase it, you just need to recognize it. You can cultivate it easily at home, in small spaces, in containers, and once it starts growing, it keeps coming back, quiet, persistent, abundant. And maybe that's the deeper message hidden inside this plant, because sometimes what we've been taught to ignore is exactly what our body has been waiting for. Number 6. The tree that feeds like a complete meal at first glance. Chaya doesn't look impressive. It's not trendy. It's not widely talked about. And in many places, most people have never even heard its name. But in the regions where it grows, it's not treated as just another plant. It's treated as a staple, sometimes even as a lifeline, because chaya isn't just a leafy green. It's a perennial plant, meaning once it's established, it continues producing, again and again, without needing to be reaped in. And nutritionally, it's in a category of its own. Chaya leaves are rich in protein, packed with essential amino acids, and loaded with minerals like calcium, iron, and potassium. But what makes it truly powerful is how concentrated it is. This isn't a plant you eat in large quantities. A small portion already delivers a significant nutritional impact. And historically, in parts of Central America, chaya was consumed regularly to sustain energy, support strength, and maintain resilience, especially in communities where food availability could fluctuate. It wasn't optional, it was reliable. Now, modern nutritional analysis supports this traditional use. Chaya has been shown to provide high-quality plant protein alongside compounds that support blood sugar regulation, reduce inflammation, and enhance overall metabolic function. But here's something important. It must be cooked before consumption, a simple step that transforms it into a safe and highly beneficial food. And once prepared properly, it becomes one of the most nutrient-dense greens you can include in your routine. Now think about this from a different angle. Chaya is a tree, not a seasonal crop, not something fragile. It grows strong. It grows continuously. And once you have it, it keeps giving. You can plant it in your backyard, let it develop, and harvest leaves regularly without exhausting the plant. Year after year, no constant replanting, no dependence on supply chains. Just something stable, rooted, reliable, and maybe that's the deeper shift here. Because in a world where most things are temporary, there's something powerful about having a source of nourishment that stays, that grows with you, that feeds you, not just once, but continuously. Number 7. The protein that grows in just days. Most people think growing food takes time, weeks, sometimes months. Planning, space, effort. But what if I told you, you can grow a dense, protein-rich food in less than a week? This is where sunflower microgreens completely change the game, because these are not fully grown plants. They are harvested at an early stage, right after germination, when the plant is at one of its most concentrated nutritional points. And at that stage, something interesting happens. The seed has already activated its full growth potential. Enzymes are alive, nutrients are mobilized, and protein becomes highly bioavailable, easier for your body to absorb and use. So instead of waiting for a mature plant, you're consuming it at its peak. Sunflower microgreens are rich in protein, packed with essential amino acids, and combined with healthy fats, vitamins, and enzymes that support digestion and cellular function. Which means this isn't just fast food, it's efficient food. And historically, while microgreens themselves are a more modern trend, the concept isn't new. Sprouted foods have been used for generations in different cultures to enhance nutrient absorption and improve vitality. What's new is how accessible this has become. Because growing sunflower microgreens is incredibly simple. You don't need a garden, you don't need much space. You don't even need experience. A small tray, some seeds, a bit of water, and light. And within days, you have something alive, fresh, and nutritionally powerful. Right in front of you, no transportation, no storage time, no loss of nutrients. Just direct access. And maybe that's what makes this so impactful. Because once you realize how quickly you can grow something this powerful, your entire perception of food begins to shift. Speed changes everything. And if this already feels fast, wait until you see what comes next. Number 8. The concentrated vegetable most people ignore. If sunflower microgreens already surprised you, this takes it even further. Because broccoli microgreens aren't just young plants. They're concentrated versions of something your body already recognizes as powerful, but in a form that most people have never experienced. Here's what makes this so different. At the microgreen stage, broccoli can contain up to 20 to 40 times more certain nutrients than its fully grown version. Let that sink in. Same plant, same origin, but dramatically more concentrated. And one of the most studied compounds found here is sulforaphane, a powerful bioactive compound linked to detoxification, cellular protection, and even gene expression related to longevity. This isn't fringe science. It's been studied for its role in reducing oxidative stress, supporting the body's natural detox pathways, and protecting cells from long-term damage. But here's where it connects back to protein. Because real strength isn't just about building tissue, it's about protecting what you build. And that's exactly what broccoli microgreens help support. They deliver amino acids, while also helping your body maintain and defend its internal systems. It's a dual effect: build and protect. Now think about how this fits into your daily life. Most people wait until food reaches the plate, but here, you're interacting with it at its most alive stage, growing, developing, concentrating. And just like sunflower microgreens, the process is incredibly simple. A shallow container, moist soil, or a growing medium, light, water. And within a few days, you have a dense, vibrant layer of nutrition ready to be harvested. Fresh, immediate, potent. No long supply chains, no nutrient loss over time, just something grown and consumed at its peak. And maybe that's the real shift here. Because sometimes, more nutrition doesn't come from eating more food. It comes from understanding when to eat it. And now, we're getting very close to the ones that change everything. Number 9. The plant that rebuilds your body silently. Watercress doesn't try to impress. It doesn't have a strong marketing presence. It's not trending. It doesn't look extraordinary. And maybe that's exactly why it's been overlooked. Because nutritionally, it sits at the top. In fact, in a well-known nutrient density ranking study, watercress was placed at the highest level among all vegetables tested, scoring above many foods people consider far more powerful. But here's what makes that truly meaningful. Watercress isn't just rich in protein, it's rich in synergy. Because alongside its amino acids, it delivers a dense combination of vitamins, minerals, and bioactive compounds that work together to support your body at a deeper level. We're talking about compounds linked to cellular repair, to reduced inflammation, to improved detoxification pathways, which means this isn't just about building strength, it's about restoring balance. And historically, watercress has been used in traditional diets across Europe and Asia, often valued not just as food, but as a restorative plant, something consumed to regain energy, to recover, to recalibrate the body. Now, modern science simply confirms what those traditions already knew. Its high concentration of nutrients supports cardiovascular health, enhances cellular protection, and contributes to overall metabolic efficiency. But here's where it becomes real for you. Watercress grows in moist environments, near water, in hydroponic systems, or even in simple home setups with consistent moisture. It doesn't require complexity. It requires consistency. And once it starts growing, it becomes a steady source of something most people are constantly chasing. Real nourishment, not stimulation, not temporary energy, but something that works quietly, beneath the surface, rebuilding, supporting, restoring. And maybe that's the most powerful part, because not everything that transforms your body announces itself loudly. Some things work in silence and change everything from within. Number 10. The future of protein is floating on water at first glance. This doesn't even look like food. It looks like a thin green layer floating on water. Something you'd walk past without a second thought. But what you're looking at might be one of the most powerful protein sources on Earth. Duckweed, also known as lemna, is a tiny aquatic plant, and despite its size, it contains up to 40% protein by dry weight. Let that sink in. That's comparable to, and in some cases, even higher than many traditional animal-based sources. But here's where it becomes truly fascinating. Duckweed doesn't just grow, it multiplies. Under the right conditions, it can double its mass in a matter of days, which makes it one of the fastest-growing plants on the planet. And because of that, it's being studied as a potential solution for the future of food, not just in agriculture, but in controlled environments, sustainable systems, even space research. Because when you think about it, a plant that grows rapidly, requires minimal resources, and delivers high-quality protein, isn't just food, it's a system of survival. Now let's bring this closer to you. Duckweed can be cultivated in small water setups, controlled containers, or simple aquatic environments. It doesn't require soil. It doesn't require large areas. And once it starts growing, it keeps expanding. Quietly, continuously, and nutritionally. It offers more than just protein. It provides essential amino acids, micronutrients, and compounds that support overall metabolic health. But maybe the most powerful shift isn't nutritional, it's perceptual. Because this challenges something deeply rooted. The idea that strength comes from size, from density, from something that looks substantial. Duckweed proves the opposite, that something almost invisible can hold extraordinary power. And maybe that's why it matters so much, because the future of nutrition might not come from something bigger, but from something we almost didn't notice. And now that you've seen this, you can't unsee it. At this point, something should feel different, because this was never just about vegetables, it was about perception. For a long time, we've been taught to associate strength with one thing: size, density, animal-based protein. But what you just saw challenges that idea completely, because strength isn't just about how much protein you consume. It's about how efficiently your body can use it, how well it absorbs it, and what comes with it. And these plants don't come alone. They come with enzymes, with antioxidants, with compounds that support your body instead of overwhelming it, which means something subtle begins to shift. You stop chasing food, and you start understanding it. And maybe even more powerful than that, you realize that some of the most nutrient-dense, protein-rich foods available to you don't come from a store. They don't depend on supply chains. They don't require processing. They grow quietly, consistently, right where you are. And that changes everything, because now, this isn't just about what you eat. It's about autonomy. It's about having access to real nutrition, without depending on systems that most people never question. It's about reconnecting with something simple, that was always there. And maybe the biggest shift of all is this. You don't need more food. You need a different awareness. Because once you see food this way, you stop asking, where can I get protein? And you start asking, what am I overlooking? So next time you look at a garden, a small plant, or even something growing where it shouldn't, pause for a moment. Because what looks ordinary might be carrying something extraordinary. Not just nutrients, but possibility. The possibility to nourish your body better, to simplify your routine, to become less dependent, and more aware. And maybe that's what this was really about. Not replacing one food with another, but learning to see value where most people don't even look. Now I'm curious, out of all these plants, which one would you actually try growing first? Let me know in the comments. And if this video shifted the way you think about food, even a little, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Because here, we don't just follow what everyone says, we question it, and sometimes we rediscover what was right in front of us all along.